Hey guys, it's Mr. Francy here, and this is my fun video for 2020. Yay! For January of 2020, I should say. Yay! So, I set a goal in my goals for 2020 video, goal number 8, which is to upload one fun video a month. This video could be about anything provided it came under the category of reading, and it was not specifically about the books that I'm reading at that time, but it could be about anything else to do with reading. So I would also include writing in this as well because in case you didn't know this about me, I love to read and I love to write books. So I feel like I could go both ways. But I thought for this very first fun video, why not open up with a Q&A? So basically what I did, because I'm literally just starting out this reading thing on my channel now, so no one really had any time to write me any questions that they wanted me to answer. So in the spirit of full transparency, I went over to a website that was asking questions for readers, and I copied and pasted a few of them into a Word document. I'm going to read them out and tell you what my answers are, and that way you will get to learn a little more about me, who I am as a reader. If there are writing questions that come up, who I am as a writer, but I think they're all reading questions. So let's dive right in. I have a whole list. I don't know how many I'm going to get through, but let's begin. Okay, so the first question is, what is your favorite story? Oh gosh. That's a really tough one to answer because I have so many. I mean, right out the gate, I'm already going, oh my gosh, what do I say? Because I did not look at these questions before we began. I'd have to say my favorite series, and it would be the Harry Potter series. I have Prisoner of Azkaban right next to me. Again, I apologize. Every time I hold up a book, it will be in reverse. So I do apologize about that. I've tried to fix it. It's just not working. Harry Potter series, yeah. I read the when the third book came out, my mum went ahead and bought me the first, second, and third book, wrapped them up, and gave them to me for Christmas. And I knew nothing about Harry Potter at the time. There certainly weren't any movies out for Harry Potter. And so I unwrapped my gifts. I was really excited to receive books because, as I've said before, I love reading. And when I read the blurbs, I was very excited because my mum knew how much I love magic. So I started reading the first book, and ever since I started reading the first book, I did not want to put it down. I had to literally be pried away from any of the Harry Potter books that I've read whenever I read them. Excuse me. Funny story. When I was younger and living at home with my mum, I used to travel by bus and train to get to school. And one night I'm coming home from school on the train, and it takes me about, I think about half an hour from the train station where the bus drops you off, from the train station to get home. So I would get on the train and I would start reading because, yeah, that's what I did. You know, others would be looking at their phones, the phones of back in those days anyway, but looking at their phones. Not much change these days. Everyone looks at their phone, don't they? But I love to read, so I would pull out one of my books. Anyway, on this particular day, I think it was Order of the Phoenix. So I was reading one of the books. I think it was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. And I started reading. And the next thing I knew, the announcer in the train said, now approaching, without giving the name away because it doesn't matter, but now approaching the last train station of the journey. And my station was the station before the last one. So I'm looking up from my book going, oh my God, I missed my stop. And that to me is the mark of an amazing book, a book that has you so zoned into that book that you miss your stop. So I got out at the last station. I had to go to the other platform to go back the way I was coming. And I said to myself, as much as I want to keep reading, the moment I get on that train, I need to put my book away to ensure I get off at the right station. So, yeah, and I've had that a few times with Harry Potter where I will miss a station, or I'll miss a phone call, or someone could be standing next to me the whole time and I won't know because I'm so engrossed in the book. To me, that is the true test of a story. How zoned in can you be with a book that you don't know anything else that's going on around you? And that for me absolutely was Harry Potter. Okay, who is your favourite author? It would stand to reason after what I just said that my answer would be J.K. Rowling, but I have a few. I don't have one. J.K. Rowling is definitely one of them, but also when I was much younger, I would have said Enid Blyton. I was a massive fan of a lot of things she brought out. I was a huge fan of the series The Famous Five. I didn't really read... Oh, sorry, that's not true. I read a page or two of The Secret Seven, but I didn't get into it, so I didn't read that series anymore. But I love The Famous Five. Did not like the TV series. I tried to watch it, and it just didn't work for me. But anyway... So yeah, love The Famous Five and other books that she wrote as well. The Faraway Tree, The Wishing Chair, that book of Mr. Tweedle. I don't remember what it's called, but anyway, many Enid Blyton books. I absolutely loved them. My another favorite reader of mine is Rochelle Mead because I absolutely loved Vampire Academy. I did not like the film. I don't know what they did there, but anyway. I mean, when you get the director of Mean Girls to direct a book adaptation into a film from a book series that is a really dark book series and make it Mean Girls-like, it kind of ruins it for me. I was so excited when I found out the film was coming out, and then it was just... To me, it was just a really bad adaptation of the book. But I love the series and have a lot of love for Rochelle Mead as well. Who is your favourite character? Oh gosh, that's a tough one to say. But ultimately, I will go with the Harry Potter universe for this answer, and I will say Hermione Granger. I love how she is so smart, and she does not let that hold her back. And yes, you know, there are moments where you can see that she's sad that she doesn't have a lot of friends at the beginning. I'm trying not to give away too much information about Harry Potter, although the Harry Potter universe is so big that hardly gives away anything. But this is what I mean about, you know, spoiler alert anytime I'm talking, really. But she's just so gifted, and for the majority of the series, she's unapologetic about it, and I really appreciate that. One of the most attractive qualities I find in any person is intelligence. I've always felt that, and so I love how Hermione is so gifted, so talented, she's just so intelligent, so insanely intelligent, and she just doesn't apologize for it, and I really appreciate that. So I would definitely say Hermione Granger. From a series that I've watched on TV but started as a book series and then didn't really like the book series, but anyway, so that's the other way around for me. But because I started the book series, I will include it as well. From Pretty Little Liars, Spencer Hastings, absolutely again, intelligent, so insanely intelligent and unapologetic about it. So if I can find heroines that are insanely talented, gifted, and just insanely intelligent, and they're unapologetic about it, then most of the time I'm going to be siding with them. So yeah, there are some characters for you that I love. What is your favourite genre? Okay, well, my favourite genre is fantasy, absolutely. I've read many different genres, and I will say this, I can't stand, and I'm sorry to make a big soapbox statement about this, but I have to. I can't stand horror films. I can't stand horror series. I just don't like them. I don't like the whole jumping out of your skin every time something happens, and that's the same for thrillers. I just don't like them. But I have read horror and thriller books, and you know what's funny? I absolutely loved them. So I'm not a fan of watching a movie or a show that is a horror or a thriller, but I don't mind, and I've had some books that are horror and thriller that I've absolutely loved. So I love reading them, and I've said to myself one day that if there is a Saw series, I would love to read it. Somehow I got through the film series, somehow. I don't know how I did it though, and I'm proud of myself for doing it. But I would love to read the series because I think that Saw is such a mastermind with what he does. I just didn't like how graphic the visuals were of the films, so I would love to read it as a book. But anyway, back to the question. My favorite genre is fantasy, and I will say it is fantasy. However, there's a big but in there, a massive, excuse me, just a moment, I need to point out moment there, and that is, if it is set in a medieval world with horses and fighting sword-on-sword combat, it is not for me. And I'm sorry to make that broad statement. Broad sword, broad statement. Sorry to make that statement, but it's true. When I say fantasy, I mean magical, and I would love to use other words to describe this, but this is what I mean. I mean magical. And to me, there is nothing magical about having a sword-on-sword combat, and that's just my opinion. You can sound off below and tell me you disagree, and that's totally fine, but if I'm reading a book, I want to be transported into that world, and I want to get away from mundane everyday life, to which I refer to as its own subgenre, Humanlandia. If I am reading a book that has any aspects of Humanlandia, those aspects are going to turn me off. And so if I have two men or two women, or one guy and one man and one woman, really doesn't matter, fighting in sword-on-sword combat, that is going to bore me. But if I have a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman that are battling each other with magical powers, that is going to entertain me because it is not Humanlandia. It is magic. So that's where I stand with that. My favorite genre is fantasy. If you cut out anything medieval, anything with sword-on-sword combat, any kind of traveling on a horse, which, I mean, again is Humanlandia because people travel on horses in the real world. So, I mean, you know, why not travel by transporting yourself somewhere magically, or for the sake of Charmed? And yes, Charmed do have a book series as well. There you go. Like in Charmed, Orb somewhere, you know. Much better to me than taking the metro or, you know, riding on horseback, because it's too human for me. I want to be lost in this world that is not a human world. All right. What is the longest book you have ever read? It would be the longest Harry Potter book for sure, which I think is either Goblet of Fire or Order of the Phoenix. I think it's one of them. I don't have the details and the facts in front of me here, but I believe it's either Goblet of Fire or Order of the Phoenix. They are both they're both tomes. They're both I believe both of them have more than 500 pages. I believe. I could be wrong. Let me know, sound off below, but there you go. There's my answer for that one. How long did it take you to read it? Not that long. Certainly not the first time, because, you know, it's the first time you're reading it, you're going into it going, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I had absolute faith and trust in J.K. Rowling because I loved the world she had set up. And whether it was Goblet of Fire or whether it was Order of the Phoenix, I was lost in this magical world. It was amazing to read. It did not take me that long. I'd probably say a week to 2 weeks, and this was when it first came out, and I was a lot younger back then. So yeah, that's probably how long it took me. Have you ever belonged to a book club? Not until about a week or two ago, when I organised an unofficial book club with one of my best friends, and we started reading this book, Personal Demons, together. So one of the books I'm reading for this month. But yeah, prior to that, I had not been part of a book club. It is something that the younger I was, the more I actually wanted to do this, but the older I got, the less I actually wanted to do it because I just wanted to read the book myself. And one thing that I found limiting about a book club is that they pick the book you're going to read, and the risk with that is, what if you don't like the book? So for me, it's a tough one. If I was able to go into a book club and, you know, and say, if I was able to go into a book club where the rules were you read whatever you want to read and then you talk about what you have read, that's fine. But most book clubs, the way I see it, they adopt the whole buddy reading system, and that's fine if you enjoy the book, but if you don't enjoy the book, you know. So I ended up not joining a book club, but I have my unofficial book club with my friend. Okay. What is the funniest book you have ever read? Probably Harry Potter. And I know I keep mentioning Harry Potter, but there are moments where, and like, I was kind of like Harry, and again, this is a tiny spoiler, where Harry has a flashlight, or in Australia, what we call a torch, and he's under his bed covers doing his homework with a torch. I've done that with books when I was younger. I was like, hey, grab my book, grab a torch, and and there were moments where I literally had to put my hands over my mouth to stop myself from laughing so loudly I woke everyone up. So, yes, I would say that that is one of the funniest books that I've read. I don't really read books for the comedy, though, so I can't really talk too much about the comedic side of... I can't really talk too much to reading a book for the sake of it being humorous, because... yeah. because I don't. But there are definitely funny moments that I recall in Harry Potter where there aren't funny moments that I remember from really any other books. So, okay. What is the saddest book you've ever read? Yeah, probably again I have to go back to Harry Potter. Okay, so this is going to be a major spoiler alert because I can't say it without giving away the reason why, but in Harry Potter and I think it's the Half-Blood Prince, I'm just trying to remember if it is, yes, okay, in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, okay, I won't say who, but if you are a Harry Potter fan, you'll know what I mean. There is an emotional scene towards the end where I can say this without giving away who. Okay. Where a beloved character dies. And yeah, it was gut-wrenching to read because I loved this character so much. And then in Harry Potter and the one that came after that one. Come on, Mr. Francy, what's it called? Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. There was another beloved character that, how do I say this so everyone who's read the book knows what I mean, but whoever hasn't, doesn't. In Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, there is a character, a beloved character that was of great assistance to the main character. Hopefully that helps. Who dies, and oh my god, both of those moments were so incredibly sad for me. When the first one happened, the one in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, I had my first moment of feeling betrayed by an author. I was a young kid reading this book going, oh my god, you killed them off. So definitely it was really hard to read, where in Half-Blood Prince, in the Deathly Hallows, that one was really, really hard as well, but I kept on reading, where with Half-Blood Prince, I kind of took myself away from the book for a little while just to have a bit of a breather. So very sad. Where, again, the only reason I bring up Harry Potter is because I can't think of any others that were really, really, really sad. So, yeah. In Vampire Academy, there is a character who dies, but to me, it's not as emotional as the death in Half-Blood Prince and the death in the Deathly Hallows. So it happens, but it wasn't emotional for me. All right, the strangest book I've ever read. Oh gosh. It depends on what I refer to as strange or what anyone refers to as a strange book. I don't think I can really answer that question because I don't think I can consider any book to be strange, because each book that is written, especially each fictional book that is written, it's written from the perspective of the author who's writing it, the creator of that world. So I can't sit here and say that book is strange, because it's not strange. It's the author's interpretation of the world that they've created. So I'm going to leave that one. How many books have you read in your life? Oh my gosh, way too many. Not enough in the last 2 years, obviously, clearly. But yeah, I don't think I can give a number to this. At least 100, at least. But too many to count. Okay, is there a time in your life when you read all the time? Yes, when I was younger. Literally, as I was saying, I would get up, I would do my morning routine, then I would sit in my fold-out chair, which was against the window, and read all day until dinner time, have dinner, and try and scoff my dinner down as quickly as possible so I could go back to my bedroom, turn my light on, and keep reading. So, yes, absolutely. How many hours do you spend reading in a week? This has changed because of the break that I took over the last 2 years. At the moment, I would say I probably spend, is it a week? A week. I would say probably about 7 hours, but it will probably go up next month. So, yeah, at the moment it's an hour a day, but it will most likely go up next month. So, that's just where it is in January of 2020. Have you ever been to a book signing or met an author? Yes, I have. I have been to book signings of a couple of books that were non-fiction books. I'm not a massive fan of non-fiction books, but these particular books were cook books. So I don't know if you want to still call it a book, but a cookbook is still a book, right? So I've met these chefs, yes, who are cookbooks, but I didn't necessarily go to a book signing. But what happened was, when I was in high school, there came this day, and I will never forget it, where we were told that there would be an event taking place on one of the days during the week. I think it was a Friday. And if you wanted to attend this particular day, you could. And if you didn't want to attend this particular day, you could stay home and have the day off, and that's totally fine. Well, this day was called the Young Writers Conference. And oh my gosh, I definitely want to go, because we had all these writers that were coming to the school that were either reading their books, or they were running classes for us, teaching us little things that they do with their writing and how we can learn from them and all that kind of stuff. And it was absolutely amazing. And then at the end of each class that we went to, the author would spend however long, have a chunk of time where they were signing their books. So I don't know if I'd call that a signing per se, but it was the most incredible day, writing day of my life, that Young Writers Conference. It was absolutely amazing. So yeah, I have. Okay, or have you met an author? Yes. So yeah, met quite a few that day. Okay, do you have any ideas for a story for you to write? Oh, many. I have many ideas. I'm currently writing a story at the moment, and it is being published on Fiction Press. Yeah, because it's an original. I have written many stories before. All of them have been placed onto either fanfic.net or fictionpress.net. I will try and link those websites in the description below. I ended up deleting probably half the books that I'd written, which goes to show that I wrote even more. Probably written about 50 books, but anyway, deleted half of them because either I wasn't happy with them after a period of time, or I didn't finish them because it was going really well, but then I kind of got over writing that book. But yes, many ideas to write, many different books, and I'm currently writing one at the moment. Okay. Do you read books based on recommendations? No. Although my goal for 2020, goal number 4, read one book that a fellow booktuber suggests. Goal number 3, read 1 or 2 books that my subscribers suggest, will change this, because I will just go off of you guys and fellow booktubers that I follow have suggested this, so okay, I will blindly go in and read this. But up until this point, no, I don't go off of recommendations. I go off of what sounds good for me rather than what sounds good for everyone else. So I started reading Harry Potter, as I said, when the third book came out. This was way before the movies came out. And it was funny because my friends knew that I was reading this series, but they were kind of looking at me like, oh, who's this weirdo reading this book? I kid you not. The first film, Harry Potter and the, depending upon where you're from, but I'm from Australia, so Philosopher's Stone, came out. And the very next week after my friends had all had a chance to go and watch this film, they were saying, can we borrow your book? Oh my gosh, we want to read this. Mm-hmm. Bless, because the movie had come out. So I don't go off recommendations. I just read what I feel will entice me by reading a blurb. That's it. But yeah, with those goals that I have, that will change this year. Okay. Were you ever given a bad recommendation? No, because I don't read books based off of recommendations till this year. Did it change your opinion of the person who recommended the book? It's not a relevant question for me. What books have you recommended for other people? Vampire Academy series, Harry Potter series, the spin-off for the Harry Potter, not Harry Potter, the spin-off for the, because I never have recommended Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The spin-off for the Vampire Academy series, which is, I don't know what it's called, but I can see one of the books here next to me called The Golden Lily. But yeah, there was a spin-off of Vampire Academy, and I would recommend that as well. I would recommend that to people. But most of the time I would recommend Harry Potter, but the reason for this is because many people, whether they were readers or not, that picked up Harry Potter, once they picked up these books, they were spellbound and just kept reading. So for me, I wanted the world to become a world of readers. So of course I'm going to recommend the most enticing book out there, or book series out there, which at that point in time was Harry Potter. Just a moment. Okay, let's get through a few others just very quickly. How often do you go to the library? I haven't in 2 years, which is really sad, but I used to go every single week. How many books do you check out at a time? At that point in time, it really depended on how much I was reading. On average, I'd probably say about 5 to 7 books. How do you choose the books you are going to read? Blurbs. Yep. So if it's a really good blurb and it catches my attention, great, I'm going to read it. The cover as well. So if we look at Personal Demons, this cover to me is very intriguing. I'm seeing this, I'm going, oh my gosh, this looks really cool. And then I will read the blurb at the back. And if the blurb entices me, great. Because I have been fooled before looking at a cover and going, this looks amazing. And then I've started reading it and it's not what I thought at all. So I'll look at the cover, I'll then read the blurb. If it sounds amazing, yay, I'll give it a go. Okay. How important is the cover of the book? Well, there you go. Very important for me. Yes, it is. Yeah, very important for me. Although, if a book is suggested to me owing to goals number 3 and 4 for 2020, that's a different story. But if I'm going out myself to find a book, I want to see an interesting cover. And this to me is an interesting cover. I don't know if I have any books that aren't an interesting cover, but just a moment, I'll have a look. Okay, so it turns out, and it shouldn't surprise me, that I'm just looking up because I have books up here as well, that none of the books that I own have uninteresting covers. They're all very interesting. So there you go. Do you watch the movie that came from a book? Okay, that's the last question, and I will take a moment to answer that. Yes, I absolutely will if I've read the book. Yes. Because I want to see how it has been adapted. Now, there have been times where I love the adaptation of the book. Let's go with most of the Harry Potter series. Let's go with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Yes, I love the adaptation. They miss one scene that I really wish they didn't miss, but anyway. But that's me being picky because it's literally just one scene of, and I'll just say this, drinking potions. I wish it was included because I loved it in the book, but everything else was pretty much included. So, and it was really well done. Then you have something like Vampire Academy, which is such a great book, and the film was just terrible. So yes, I'll definitely watch them. I will only really watch them though if I have read the book. So I have not seen or read Hunger Games. Actually, that's not true. I've watched the first 5 minutes and I think I've read the first 2 pages and that's it. Because I kind of want to read the book first. However, I will say this, if I watch a movie or a film and I don't know that it's an adaptation of a book until I have seen it and then I do research on it afterwards and I love the film, then it will inspire me to go and read the book because books always contain more than the film. Always, because there's not enough time to fit everything that's in a book into a film. So I will try and track down the book to get the extra bits of info that we didn't get in the film. So I will say that. Alright, so there we go. There's our first fun video Q&A with Mr. Francy about all these things to do with reading. If you have any recommendations for what you would like me to do to either do with reading and or writing for the fun video of the month, please do let me know in the comment section below. Or if you have any other comments, thoughts and or questions, please do let me know. But yeah, once again, little disclaimer, as I say in most of my videos, there is a 0% tolerance for bullying here, so please make sure that you keep your opinion on the topic and not on the person who's making the opinion, okay? No need for wars, drama, or bullying here. No, not at all. If anything, I'd like this to be like a little sanctuary and not a war zone. Friendly debates are totally invited. I'm more than happy to see friendly debates being played out. Maybe you don't like Harry Potter, and that's totally fine, and you can say why you don't like Harry Potter. But once you make the argument personal about the other person, that's when it crosses a line. So please do be careful with that. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Mwah. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!